a Burning Abyss Eldlich deck profile for Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been having a lot of fun with the deck. The deck is straight gas. This is my formula and my take on the deck, so I want to be able to, showcase this and, hopefully you guys can enjoy it. If you do and you decide to make some changes and transformations, go ahead and provide those, changes in the comment section. Share with us, your opinions and ideas, but hopefully you guys enjoy this deck as much as I have. It's been fun, really good. It's a really decent deck in the meta. I wouldn't say it's tier 1, of course, but it's definitely been showing out and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I wanted to showcase this for you guys. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so let's get into the deck profile here. Of course, we're playing BA Eldlich, as I said. So we've got 3 Graph, 3 Skarm. The reason why we're playing 3 Graph and 3 Skarm is because we want to be able to set up the graveyard as much as possible for Snow. Snow made its appearance back into the meta, and it's a very, very strong card. So you want to be able to continue to cycle your guys in the drop in the graveyard, so that way you're able to control the amount of cards you have in grave. So you're cycling Graph out actually pretty frequently into Sir without having just to recycle themselves in the grave. So that way you have more options. We've got 2 Farfa, 2 Skarm. I don't think we need to play any more than this. You're not really looking to enable searches that often. I mean, if it comes up and you've got multiple targets to hit, obviously this is a good one because you're able to set up your next turn for Tour Guide. And then the Farfa is just the additional interruptions that you need to, deal with your opponent's board as you're setting up. Then we've got other names. We went with Barbar, Alec, and Libic because I think they're the best ones. Of course, Barbar is always good for, the burn. Alec's negate effect actually can be relevant, especially when you're setting up things like droplets. If there's a card on the board that you want to negate but sending with droplets, this is like a 2-for-1 essentially. And then of course you've got your Libic, which allows you to be able to extend without having to worry about your BAs dying. So he's actually pretty relevant in this deck as well. 3 Fiendish Rhino, 2 Tour Guide. These are like your only normal summons, but they are important ones, especially the Fiendish Rhino. As I said, we're looking to cycle the grave as much as possible. So being able to send Fiendish Rhino, send Graph, get Farfa, gives you like 2 additional cards in the grave for Snow. So that's the most important thing about the Fiendish Rhino. And then of course it is basically another BA. So when you're setting up your plays in your early turns, even later turns, I mean, it pretty much acts as whatever you have in your deck left. And then of course, Tour Guide's Tour Guide. We don't want to see it in our opening, but we do want to see it as a good follow-up. So that's it for like the BA level 3 engine. Let's go ahead and go into everything else. We've got 2 Golden Boys, the Eldlich. I didn't want to play more than 2. You usually don't want to draw it or see it in hand. You like to mill it, or of course, play it off the elixir. Otherwise, you see it in hand. It actually is a pretty strong opening card to open with other spells and traps, because this is another way to deal with interruptions that your opponent sets up on the board, especially Omni Negates. I mean, this baits an Omni Negate very easily. And if you have other cards to be able to continue to play him and put him on board, that you're going to bait out more cards. So he's actually pretty strong in the opening, but you don't want to play a lot of copies because you really don't want to see more than 1 copy, or usually even see him most of the time, especially if you're going first. Then of course, 1 Snow. Card's insane, honestly. It not being once per turn, I gotta say the card is just nutty. Call by the Grave. Oh, Call by the Grave, 3 droplets and 3 I always say this wrong. Eld land. Sorry about that. But yeah, I went with 3 of each, and then of course 1 Call by the Grave. I didn't need anything else. Call by the Grave is really good, of course, because it just acts as another disruption for the grave. Droplets is really good for dealing with boards, whether it's in the opening or as a turn 2. It's very strong. Of course, I would never not play this card in a deck that, has graveyard recurrence. And then the Outland, of course, lets you set up pretty well. This actually does not conflict with BAs at all, which is pretty surprising, you would think. You do your BA combos first, then you play this to get your searches. So a lot of times, if your opponent does have the Ash for your plays on your BA to stop the Graph from getting a Sir, you're going to be able to use the Outland to get what you need to set up traps, so that way you have interruptions anyways for the next turn, depending on what else you obviously opened or hit or even milled off Dante. So this card is actually pretty strong. And then of course on the next turn, it sets up really well, because if you need to deal with something on your opponent's board the next turn, you could just search the Golden Boy and be able to send them to, get rid of stuff. So card's pretty good. Then we're playing 3 each of the traps. We maxed out on 3 each because we did want to be able to hit these off of Dante if necessary. Because of course, not opening them means that if we're going to hit them, we're able to get more value out of Dante's mill along with the BAs. So I wanted to max out on all of them. They again don't really interact too difficultly with the deck. I know this does lock you into zombies. You're usually mostly using it during your opponent's turn as like the last resort for interactions. So normally I'll do like the Beatrice, I'll do the Snow, I'll do the IP Masquerena. And then I'll go ahead and use this and this to be able to deal with something. So these are usually the last, our last ditch efforts to deal with what my opponent has. And, if they're able to get through, the snow, they're able to get through Beatrice, IP, and they're able to get through this, then, they still have a lot of cards on board to deal with. So very good. And again, like I like the trap BA, but I feel like this is just as good because these traps do stuff as well. They're bodies and also do stuff. So I am playing 3 Dragon's Prison, Ice Dragon's Prison. I decided to go with this over any other traps because I didn't want Torrential. Torrential dealt with the board too frequently, and this deck actually makes a pretty big board going first, even a big board going second. And you don't really want to have that kind of establishment taken away from you or yourself. But this also deals with stuff on the board, engrave, and everything. So it kind of hits everything. It's kind of like what I want Dino Miscus to do without actually playing Dino Miscus, if that makes sense. So it's like I want that option to be able to deal with just about any card on the board, but Dino Miscus can't touch stuff in grave, and I don't have to discard for this. It does take a turn to have to set this up, but it is nice to have so that you're able to at least set it, take something out of the grave, and then set it up that way. So it's very good. I think this was one of the better options or traps to go with. I mean, there's plenty of other traps that you can go with, so I mean that's not the end all be all, but that's just what I went with because I enjoy that over the other traps in testing. So we got 1 Gravity Controller, 1 IP Masquerena. We are playing the Dark Charmer because obviously BAs are dark, so we're able to go into this, which is awesome because you can do like Eldlich, send your opponent's DPE, they'll chain it if they have something to pop, and then they'll put it in the graveyard, and then your first Dante setup with Dante Sir can be into the Dark Charmer to steal it, which is great because then you'll have like the Eldlich on board, their DPE, and a Dark Charmer. So it's actually really good setup. I did play the whole Nightmare package because of course we are playing the trap monsters. These go into those very easily, and then of course you're able to discard your BAs, and you're able to discard any other cards that you don't need to really deal with your opponent's board. We got Access Code as the rank 5. So that's it for links. Then we've got our XYZ. So we've got 1 Breaksword, 1 Downerd, and 2 Zeus. I'll probably be cutting a Zeus. I don't find myself going into Zeus as often in this build. I do usually go into the Downerd Zeus off of like a Dante because that gives you the 2 materials for free. But the 1 Zeus, I feel like this could be just about anything. I think I'd play another rank 3. I'm only playing 3 rank 3s. So maybe another Dante. If not, maybe something else. I'm not too sure. I'll have to think about it and get back to you guys on that. But I definitely think I can drop a Zeus. Then, of course, we've got our BA lineup. 2 Dante, 1 Beatrice, and 1 Dante the Pilgrim. I really don't think we need more than 2 Dante. I kind of want to play more than 2 Dante just because the idea of 1 getting banished, playing off of 1 can be a little annoying. But otherwise, it's definitely this card. I love Dante. Dante is such a good card. So that's it for the extra deck. I'll share with you guys my sideboard because it definitely is relevant, especially for the meta. It's kind of what helps me deal with a lot of the crazier matchups, and why this deck has kind of been performing really well is because I do have like just really good options for dealing with a lot of things. So we've got 2 Nibiru. I don't know if I'd be playing Nibiru continuously moving forward. I don't side it in very often. This will probably end up being anti-spell fragrance because spells are a little bit more relevant in terms of harder to deal with. 3 Evenly and 3 Dark Ruler No More for the going second. So, I mean, generally, you win your first, you win your second. That's how we win our second. So, Evenly match and Dark Ruler No More just deals with whatever your opponent sets up so that you're able to pretty much blow them out. And then we've got our back row hate. We didn't go with Twin Twister because we already have so much discard, and we also want to be able to set up our boards without having to lose too many cards. And the reason why I say that is because we play droplets, we play the Eldlich, so we're already like in the tempo of discarding cards and getting rid of cards. And I didn't want to do Twin Twister because then that's just too many discard outlets that are going to be focused on, especially later in the games. So like if you're in later turns and you start drawing Twin Twisters and you're top decking them, then you're kind of, stuck with nothing in hand other than just Twin Twister. I mean, it doesn't happen too often because Dante recycles pretty well. But you just want to be able to directly deal with something. And this is just something that directly deals with whatever it is you have to deal with. It's good against Phantom Knights, the Brave Engine. It's good against, what's his face? Scythe. It's good against a lot of those cards. So we definitely have our back row hate. And Cyclone, I feel like, is the better option. If I was playing like anything else, probably be Twin Twister if it was like Phantom Knights. But like I said, I feel like Cyclone is just better in this build. And then this is our going, our going first game 2, Solemn Judgment. Just because, I mean, we're not playing a trap heavy build, but we want to be able to set up our Beatrice and IP Masquerena with whatever traps we have and a Judgment, because the Judgment just blows them out. You know, they could try to Dark Ruler no more you, and then you could just flip Judgment. This deck can already play pretty good around Dark Ruler no more, as well as droplets, just because of the fact that we are playing the Eldlich package. And that's one of the ways that I've been able to really be able to play this deck and perform pretty well with it, in the current meta, is because a lot of these going second, dealing with board cards are just really easy to deal with. When you've got like Beatrice on board with IP Masquerena and you've got like traps like these set up, and your opponent just, your opponent tries to like droplets you preemptively, or they set themselves up to play a droplet without getting rid of very little resources, you're able to just flip this and then play off your effects. Which is really nice. So, I mean, knowing and understanding how the chains work in that regards allows you to be able to set up pretty well, even under droplets and things like Dark Ruler no more, to be able to resolve effects. Because once you get out Beatrice, you have access to Snow, and the only thing that's going to stop Snow is Call by the Grave. But yeah, that's the deck. I mean, it's definitely been something that I've been having a lot of fun with. It's a lot of gas. Like I said, there's a lot of changes that you can make in the extra deck, honestly. Like I said, it's very versatile. There's a lot of room, in my opinion, for flexibility. Like I said, the Zeus can more than definitely go. You can always play a different rank 4, for a different finisher. I'm still playing the Gravity Controller because I hate drawing the Fiendish Rhino and Sir or Graph, or drawing the Sir and just one other BA. So this allows you to at least set up Beatrice for Snow. Like I said, you've got the Unicorn, the Nightmare package, IP Masquerena is, in my opinion, is a must. I love IP in this deck. And then you've got a Dark Charmer. So, I mean, you've got room. There's definitely flexibility for different options. I mean, you can switch out, the Break Sword for something else if you really wanted to. But yeah, there's flexibility. And, the deck is really fun. So you guys go ahead and give me your opinions and your thoughts on the deck below in the comment section. So that way I can, we can transform this deck together and see what we can take and do with it. But, for sure, it's definitely been a fun deck. I don't want to say it's tier 1 at all. I just think that, if you're piloting it properly and you're side decking the right cards, especially for your local meta or for the meta in general, then you're going to find a lot of success as long as you understand how the deck functions, because it can get a little wonky with certain hands, but as long as you're able to play through them and understand how the deck works, I mean, you'll play it pretty well. So hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Hopefully, like I said, if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them in the comment section. We can talk about the deck. Otherwise, definitely give my video a thumbs up, a like. Go ahead and subscribe and enjoy.